I work for MrBeast. He's a fraud, a sociopath, and has a secret CEO. These are the 3 videos that single-handedly, triple-handedly tarnished the reputation of YouTube's #1 creator forever. Well, at least for me. The videos coming from the ex-MrBeast employee, Dawson, otherwise more popularly known online as Dogpack404. This ex-staff member, after having had hinted that the ongoing Ava Chris Tyson situation was just the tip of the iceberg for what was about to come out against MrBeast, on July 24th, Dawson went on to release his official 53-minute long video titled, "I worked for MrBeast, he's a fraud," onto his Dogpack404 channel, where in the video, he came out with 3 major points against MrBeast that he wanted to bring to light to the public as having been a former employee of the media conglomerate. These 3 points were: 1. Showing how MrBeast's videos were fake, how his contests in the videos were unfairly rigged, and how contestants were often undisclosed friends and families of MrBeast employees, and even employees themselves. 2. Showing how MrBeast had allegedly run illegal lotteries that targeted children. And 3. Showed how MrBeast knowingly sold merch with fake autographs of his signature. With the first point of MrBeast faking videos, Dogpack goes on to show us this now infamous montage of the complete fabrication that took place in the MrBeast videos, while Jimmy had always claimed that his content was supposedly real and unscripted.
Have you ever faked a video?
No. But this train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, this shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this raccoon is a paid actor, this island costs more than $1, this city is not abandoned, these buildings are CGI, but it's not your only way out. You can literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker. It's just a guy. This whole room is fake. This contestant is an actor and a secret employee at MrBeast. They had him dive through this fake door twice. This line is scripted. This action is scripted. In fact, pretty much all the videos with Mac are scripted.
You did it! Yeah! What we did was scripted. Holy shit, this stuff would be easy to pump out.
Also, I want to add this one cringy ass moment from a tag video from MrBeast back in 2021 that I felt was scripted, and I remember specifically covering on this channel actually.
Someone's under the stairs.
They're right there. There's no club.
Someone's definitely under these stairs.
Because I see them!
Carl.
Hey.
Where are you?
Are you kidding me, dude? The dialogue, the intensity, the coincidences for this whole thing to happen. Dude, come on. I feel as if that had to have been scripted or something just to make the video more intense. Maybe it happened legit, but then they re-recorded this part after the game ended or something. Yep, I knew it, dude. I knew that this fool was fishy, man. Got me feeling like Frank Heffley up over here, dude.
I knew that door had a lock on it! And everybody was trying to make me feel like I was losing my mind!
But going back to Dawson's video, along with that, Dogpack also shows us how MrBeast brings in people familiar to him to compete in challenges in his videos, even though that he's always saying that they're supposedly just random subscribers.
The contestants are not random subscribers.
So many people had jobs.
Oh, that contestant had to get out for her job? I guess you forgot she's your hiring manager. I actually recognize a lot of people in this video, including Jimmy's own girlfriend. So yeah, the random subscribers you see in challenges are actually never random. They're almost always local to MrBeast, and oftentimes friends and family of MrBeast employees, or just the employees themselves.
And one of those included is the employee Mac, who has also had a controversial past in faking content alongside the YouTuber Eric. He got mentioned up in here along with all of that just didn't help Jimmy's case at all, and as if lying to your audience wasn't enough, MrBeast also gets called out by Dawson, and that he also rigs contests in his videos to make it much more closer than it should be, and a prime example of that can be seen in the video 100 Boys vs 100 Girls, where this guy got paid to leave early as an advantage, and then also having the girls get more advantageous opportunities be given to them, all in front of the camera and content of what the MrBeast media team here allowed us to see as viewers. Seeing that this was a contest with big money involved, it just went to show that MrBeast didn't care about the fairness in his competitive videos, and that many of the situations like these are manufactured to have a specific narrative take place, thus adding to the thesis that MrBeast videos are fabricated to the degree where he shouldn't even be considering saying that his content is authentic, nor are his quote-quote competitive videos fair to the contestants involved either. And remember, these are just the things that we're seeing taking place on camera. Who knows what else was going on behind the scenes. Dogpack then also shows that the 10-minute video by MrBeast is also fake, at least the once again competitive aspect of it. I mean, one of the lasers touches the guy who is a camera trained celebrity who is an illusionist as well. The laser touches him here and the video should end there, but then you can also see the mechanics of one of the challenges seemingly be completely fabricated, as turning the water valves do not work as one would in the real world. Again, this was all just to additionally show that MrBeast videos are not authentic or even close to being as real as MrBeast MrBeast would like to claim that they are. Now, the next point that Dawson had to show us was more of a serious one, where he had claimed that MrBeast had allegedly ran illegal lotteries. Now, this topic I wasn't too familiar with at first. As we all know, in the United States, there's like lottery tickets and lotteries where to enter, you gotta pay for the chance to do so to win the prizes and or grand prize. And that's legal here because they're run by the state governments. Thus, any other entities out there like companies or persons themselves cannot legally have events take place where they have prizes up for grabs, where you might have a chance of winning them via purchasing something and or paying consideration. So with that, MrBeast is not allowed to be doing any sort of lottery type events that fall under that, otherwise it is illegal. And this is where Dogpack calls out MrBeast. Dawson here shows us a stream that Jimmy did where he was doing just that fit the description of said lottery.
Here are just some of the clips from that stream.
For those of you who are just joining, if you buy one of our limited edition 40 mil special shirts, we're celebrating 40 million subscribers with a really big video, then we will sign that shirt, and some of them will get random prizes like this. In 10 minutes, right, because we gotta give them time to do their cart, we'll give 2 orders $500 each. 5 minutes, someone's getting $3 grand in their order. In 5 minutes, we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna put $1,000 in a random order. 2 minutes, newest order gets $2,000. Good luck, everybody.
And it wasn't just that giveaway stream either doing these lotteries. Dogpack shows another example of MrBeast doing the same thing just months later at a higher scale. Coming back to the legality of lotteries, the reasoning for the self-ran ones being illegal in the US in this case is due to the aspect of gambling taking place, and illegalizing it protects consumers that are vulnerable, which Dawson goes on to show an example of somebody like that needing to be protected here from what MrBeast was doing.
Reading all this really upsets me because I spent money I honestly didn't have for 5 shirts at different times during the live when they said things like buy now and you will get prize or money. And I received 2 orders and nothing but shirt, both with MB and one with a heart and one with a smiley. I was hoping for at least a couple things for Christmas for my family. Now, this commenter also goes on to explain that she's disabled, has PTSD.
Or even illegalizing self-ran lotteries is a protection for just children in general as well. And MrBeast is well familiar with that age range being in his audience.
The average demographic is what, 13 through 17? Is that the biggest spike in your analytics?
Well, I mean, mine's horseshit. It says like 18 to 24, but I know all my fucking viewers are little kids.
Yeah.
And then another example of a lottery, and another example, and another example. Oh, and with this rocket here, this was one where if you had given him $10, then you would have been able to send a digital picture to the moon. But then the rocket ended up blowing up. No refunds have been given back as far as anyone is concerned. But even when MrBeast was doing that stream, it had some illegal lottery aspect going on for it. And I'm sure you get the point now in those regards. So with MrBeast evidently profiting huge off of that, he then decided to up the ante now with moving on from someone having to spend tens of dollars to acquire a chance to win a prize in these said allegedly illegal lotteries, and now shifted his focus into the new Feastables company, where now if you want to win prizes of the same sorts, all you gotta do is just spend a couple of bucks on some snacks now. But this time though, they were legal in that you now have the option to enter the Feastables giveaways via the no purchase necessary clause. But even then, MrBeast and the Feastables company never made that clause clear to the consumers whenever they would mention having giveaways take place with Feastables.
No perched neck?
And even still, sometimes that no purchase necessary clause wouldn't even be mentioned at all when giveaways would be brought up in a video. Plus, in addition to all of that, MrBeast would effectively steal people's attention and even have some labor force be bestowed upon against his young audience that would all be at the benefit of him. And as if MrBeast couldn't get enough of the gambling aspect out of his rut, the participation in some of these Feastables giveaways had gamified screens just blatantly be showed to the participants, which we already know a good chunk of it will be children. And business model wise, the reasoning behind having to do all of this extra stuff with the giveaways and everything for the Feastables brand is, let's be honest, a lot of people were not fans of the Feastables chocolates early on, and doing all of this extra flashy stuff with the giveaways was pretty much their only way of making sales on the chocolate and snacks, as when the giveaway gimmick was over with, so was their sales and demand, and Dogpack shows that effectively taking place here with these chocolates being on sale. So, seeing as the only way that Feastables was able to make large sales via their giveaway strategies, Dawson had questioned one of the higher ups over at the MrBeast company about it, and we got this pretty haunting line as a response regarding their true business and intentions.
I swear to God, I said to somebody at the company, I feel like Feastables is 70% a chocolate company and 30% a lottery targeting children. And this higher up person at MrBeast said it was probably closer to the other way around and was laughing about it. Like 70% a lottery, 30% of chocolate company.
And even then, the giveaway winners themselves were controversial, with one of the bigger examples being that when MrBeast had put out a set of golden tickets to go out to a random buyer of the Feastables products, one of the winners was a YouTube channel that had over 700,000 subscribers, in which the guy himself even went on to win the competition.
No freaking way.
So it is like really like total chance, obviously. Like you're one of like hundreds of thousands of names.
Talk to Jimmy, Bella. What do you got to say to
Jimmy,
say
thank
to him?
you for picking us.
No, he didn't. It was random.
I know.
Was it though? Was it random? Also, this guy went on to win the chocolate factory, and extremely unlikely things do happen, but can we see how the winners were chosen maybe?
And then even when you do win some things in MrBeast's overall giveaways, there's still a chance that it might just slip through the cracks, in which Dogpack here went on to say that he believes is intentional. And then, in regards to Feastables, Dawson critiques the product more in that the new chocolate bars are now much less healthier than Hershey's, and it also covers how MrBeast was visibly upset with how a true, authentic influencer like Keith Lee reviewed the Feastables products with a poor rating. So, that mostly covers Dogpack's second point of the video with the illegal lotteries and stuff, and how it's now mostly translated over into MrBeast's Feastables company. The third point that Dawson brought up in the video was how MrBeast had sold merch that had fake signatures of his MB initials. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but here's the clip that Dogpack brought up.
So Tyler signs MB, which is MrBeast's signature. Then he covers it, signs his own initials, TC, smirks, looks around, and then quickly slides the shirt away. Could you make it any more obvious?
Another thing that I want to cover here was that back in 2019, there was this huge controversy of both Reyes and Jake Paul promoting this mystery box-esque website to their viewers, and that garnered them tons of backlash as they were essentially promoting gambling to kids with that. And Dogpack goes on to show us that MrBeast's former manager had revealed that Jimmy wanted to actually work with that company, but the manager himself had to convince Jimmy out of it.
So it was about 3 years or 2.5 years ago when I started working with Jimmy. What was becoming really popular were these like mystery loot crate, like internet sites where it's basically like CSGO skins, but you'd go on and be like, here's the Supreme box, and you'd pay $50 for it. And remember, it was
didn't Ricegum did
yeah,
quite a
Jake
few
Paul,
people.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, they got a lot of hate for that.
Right.
Jimmy was, he wanted to work with that company when he heard about it because there was a lot of money and we wanted to give that money away in a video. And I had to talk him back on it. I was like, listen, we're not promoting gambling. I think people are going to see this negatively. So it was a long conversation that him and I had to have, which eventually we passed on the deal. And then Jake Paul and Ricegum ended up doing that deal and got a lot of hate for it.
The reason I bring this up is, well, that just shows what Jimmy's intentions were and how it's still prevalent to this day, but also something that I hadn't seen anyone mention was that during that time when Ricegum and Jake Paul were getting heat for it, MrBeast was just having a laugh at the whole thing and even retweeting H3H3's post calling out Jake's promotion of the site to his underage audience. Something that MrBeast was trying to do himself, allegedly. Laughing at one of your peers in a controversy that you yourself were trying to do, but had to be convinced otherwise in a long discussion with your manager isn't necessarily the best look out there. It's no wonder why that tweet isn't up anymore. But now, moving on to the near end of the MrBeast Is A Fraud video, one of the last points brought up is how the winner of the last to take handoff $1 million keeps the video had to immediately decide what he wanted to do with the money with having only 1 hour of planning and then having another 24 hours to get it all done. All of that small amount of time frame just so MrBeast could get another video done out of it. Oh, and as the Dogpack video here ends, there's a frame in there that's very easy to miss, but it's this picture right here talking about the economics in advertising to a consumeristic and young audience, and it doesn't play well in MrBeast's favor as the MrBeast brand tends to be very materialistic in what they show in their content, and credit card companies would be feasting to gain customers that gain a materialistic mindset from watching content of that like MrBeast. And with that, Dogpack here shows us an article that talks about MrBeast not only teaming up with the current credit card company, but also being an investor in it, something that as far as I assume should probably be disclosed a bit more whenever doing ad reads for them. But with that, the video ends with some memes and then says that it is to be continued, and that for anyone that has worked for MrBeast to come out and reach out to him, which we'll see did in fact take place in video number 2. But before we get into that, in the aftermath of the first video here by Dogpack404, we saw that MrBeast had taken down the alleged illegal lottery stream that was still up on his Facebook, but had now removed it from the scopes of the internet and did not accept Dawson's request to republicize the live streams. But with all the rest of the accusations that were pinpointed in Dogpack's videos with various pieces of undeniable evidence, no response responses or anything had come out from MrBeast or anyone that was working for him, presumably to hope that this would get swept under the rug, as many things tend to do in the current age of the internet. But Dogpack's video was blowing up and getting millions of views within the first several days, with plenty of blogs, websites, and YouTube channels starting to pick it up. With that, this Chucky guy who co-founded the ViewStats website with MrBeast and also runs the MrBeast Ideas and Thumbnails team, he came out and spoke up against the Dogpack 404 video in saying that he wanted to debunk some of the info in it by trying to discredit Dawson, and then responded to several points that the former MrBeast employee had made in the video. I'm not going to go over everything that Chucky ended up saying here because, quite frankly, he doesn't address any of these serious accusations, and he only just responds to the claims that no one really cares about, and even when he does do it, they're still not good defenses. You can read Chucky's whole attempt at trying to save some face for the MrBeast brand here. I mean, one of the points that he makes sure to tackle here is saying that the raccoon wasn't a paid actor. That's what I mean, man. Not exactly what people are looking to hear out of you when there's accusations of rigged contests, illegal lotteries, fake signatures, and fabricating your content, which in turn inauthenticates your entire brand that you spent building upon the basis that everything that you do there is supposedly real and unscripted. Dogpack went on to respond with this post here, debunking Chucky's quote-unquote debunking, and of course, Chucky had no response to that. But another thing that I found funny with this was that when the YouTuber Pegasus was making videos on the MrBeast situation and getting millions of views, Chucky hit up Pegasus in the DMs with that unhelpful response that he had made, and when Pegasus DM'd him back asking the serious questions, Chucky just ghosted him.
Now it turns out a member of MrBeast's team named Chucky messaged me on Twitter claiming to debunk the allegations in Dogpack's video, and when I asked you in DMs for clarification regarding these allegations, what did you do? That's right, you didn't even respond. It's been over 2 days. I'm waiting for a response.
Within the aftermath of Dogpack's initial video, we also saw that he had gotten not just one, but 2 cease and desist letters that wanted him to take down the upload that was gaining even more traction now. These cease and desists were off on the basis that Dogpack was violating the NDA that he had signed with the MrBeast company during the time of employment, but it doesn't make any sense as virtually everything that Dogpack had mentioned in the video was just him using public information, and he was just voicing out his own thoughts and opinions as to how the company was being ran. Dawson had also said that he went over the video with his lawyer before publishing the upload to the YouTube platform, so there was that as well. These cease and desists coming along with Chris Tyson's Discord messages, archives being taken down from the internet, and Rosanna Pansino's Beast Games coverage on TikTok being censored outside of the US, including Canada, where Beast Games is scheduled to also take place in. All of this was just not looking good for MrBeast's reputation. It just seemed like everything out there was trying to be silenced. In addition to that, the first cease and desist itself was actually kind of looking scary, as when the lawyer and YouTuber Legal Eagle was looking into the case, he talked about his presumptions as to who the, I guess, cease and desisters here truly were.
Some have suggested that the cease and desist letters were from the law firm Quinn Emanuel. And the name of the firm, Quinn Emanuel, Urquhart and Sullivan, fits the amount of space in the cease and desist letter that Dogpack shared on Twitter. Now, if so, these are not lawyers you want to mess with. I personally never met a lawyer from Quinn who wasn't a huge asshole, often in a way that's counterproductive to their client, but still, they have a reputation for scorched earth litigation.
And on the second cease and desist for Dogpack, the situation around here was also kind of worrisome, in that when Dawson posted about this, he told us that he had gotten an anonymous message from someone that is apparently associated in the MrBeast team, where they had heard that James, I'm assuming that they're talking about the CEO over at MrBeast, was apparently wanting to have private investigators start following Dawson and look into every detail in his life to try and discredit him even more, with the text message ending and wanting Dogpack to take down everything that he had been exposing MrBeast in order for them to leave him alone. Someone had mentioned that it probably could be a troll, and Dogpack responded that yeah, it could be, but MrBeast has been known to actually hire private investigators in the past, and that as long as it wasn't Hitman, then he should be good. Now, with that, Dogpack went on a couple of interviews after the first video, with one being a bizarre one with Ludwig that didn't really go anywhere, but Dawson also went on Oompaville's channel to talk about the whole situation at hand, and also reveal some more criticizable information about MrBeast, with one of them being how the 1000 blind people video came about.
It's hard to go into the philanthropy right now because that's kind of what I'm investigating. I've received DMs from people who I have verified as MrBeast employees claiming different ways in which they're sort of fluffed up, you know? And it's sort of a controlled narrative. Like, there's a DM I received about somebody saying that when he healed 1,000 blind people, many of those people were going to get the surgery for cheap or for free regardless. He maybe like expedited the process or something. So, but then he sort of claims full credit for it.
And then also bringing it back to the raccoon, but this time having it be some more serious accusations regarding it.
Dude, the raccoon, in reality, it's much worse. Yeah, it's a domestic raccoon that they brought to the set, and they're like sort of treating it like a prop. They're putting it in the ceiling and then pretending like, you know, they just discovered it. But then there's a scene where somebody off camera takes the raccoon and like throws it onto the bed. The edit is very strange because there's a zoom in and pan up. So it like hides the fact that the raccoon is going on the bed. But what it's really doing is hiding the fact that someone's throwing the raccoon. And then there's a voiceover in post of Jimmy saying, "Oh man, the raccoon just ran in the hotel," or whatever. And they're like screaming at it and shit. So it's like almost, I wouldn't say animal abuse, but like it's kind of borderline mistreatment when you're just like using it as a prop and then scaring it for no reason.
The raccoon just ran in here.
Dawson then also brought up some more potential intel that he had gathered regarding the chocolate factory video.
Another former employee DM'd me on Twitter, and he told me that there's another contestant in that video who, his name is Justin, and he's Ava Chris Tyson's cousin. If they have some explanation, like maybe the contestant dropped out or something and they replaced him with him, then it could be fine. But like in a sweepstakes, if he actually won a golden ticket, which is what the employee is telling me, then that's completely illegal because you have to disqualify your family members.
Right.
Of employees.
Dogpack then also brings up what he saw when he was brought into the company in regards to Time magazine coming over to do a piece on MrBeast, who Jimmy had initially thought that Time was doing a good story on him, but it was actually for more serious stuff.
There had recently been a Time magazine article published with like a video and stuff. They came and interviewed him at the studio. There was multiple employees in that Time magazine piece that were sort of whistleblowing against safety, like OSHA violations and everything at the company, which then like the reporter came to the studio. Apparently Jimmy thought it was going to be like maybe Time Person of the Year or whatever.
Yeah, fluff piece.
Yeah, this reporter started asking questions about safety, and you can actually see in the video Jimmy kind of has to awkwardly kick her out halfway through the interview, and then apparently because she was asking about safety and they had already spoken to former employees.
There's snake people here.
And one more thing that Dawson had mentioned in this interview was his defense of making his initial video and how it's valid for it to be online with what he was saying in it.
Actually, people think that I broke my NDA, but like 90% of that video is public information, and then like the other 10% is about crimes. I was like, it was pretty decently strategic. I don't think they would have a case, and like I've spoken with lawyers and everything, so.
Now, after that, one of the people that Dogpack had mentioned in his first video, Mark, the guy that won the $1 million challenge video, he came out in the defense of MrBeast with numerous posts on X, and even a video onto his YouTube channel as well. He basically just praises MrBeast and helping him out back then, and then even to this day whenever he hits him up. But when Mark made the post on X defending Jimmy and speaking out a bit against the Dogpack 404 video, Dogpack replied to Mark asking him a legitimate question, and Mark did not respond to his question there. But after all of that aftermath happened, MrBeast then came out with a new video on his main channel about these two contestants being in a nuclear bunker for 100 days. And just watching that video now, after seeing all of Dogpack's claims, these MrBeast videos just seem to be so inauthentic now. And you can even notice how some of the dialogue is played out in such a bizarre way that we even had some users on X call them out and saying that they could even be AI of sorts.
And so they decided to use their extra time from each day to prepare for what was to come.
What we should be doing is preparing for day 90. Let's get this game plan together.
Here's some other examples that I just like to bring up that sound so scripted in the way that they are talking. These I noticed right away on the first viewing of the video, and they just seem a little bit off-putting to me.
Over here's your $500,000.
Dude, it's real.
Well, it better be.
Oh my God, hurry!
You're so stupid.
What did you just say?
Dude, don't yell at me like that.
That is insane.
I'm grateful I was put in here with someone who wants to win as bad as she does, and someone that really pushes me to just be the best every day.
Hey, dude, that was nice of you.
Oh, well, you weren't supposed to hear that.
But yeah, that video goes up and it actually right away starts gaining some controversy, and that dislike button plugins out there were saying that the video was being heavily disliked in the hundreds of thousands within hours of it being uploaded. Now with plugins like that, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because it's basing the like to dislike ratio off of people that have the plugin, and it can be getting skewered away from what it actually is. But with the amount of comments calling out MrBeast and the controversy he was currently in, one could definitely say that at the very least there are more dislikes on the back end than there would usually be. With people reporting that the MrBeast nuclear bunker video was getting hundreds of thousands of dislikes, MrBeast or his team sent to Keemstar the supposedly real like to dislike ratio, with it showing that it had about 3 million likes to its 30,000 dislikes, thus showing that not much hate was actually being thrown at it that way. Chucky also came out of the woodworks to show that the video did apparently not have that much hate by showing the analytics of it in the likes to dislike section. Now with that, the X user @RealX8 made a post here saying that the creator of the dislike extension claims 87,000 36,000 users with this extension disliked the video compared to the 56,000 liking it. And that note shown there basically says that the situation at hand, with MrBeast being in all this controversy, either the screen recordings that Chucky and MrBeast were showing us were updating super late and not showing the correct amount of dislikes, or potentially there was some misinformation intentionally being shown to us, as the user here claims that the numbers that the Beast team were showing regarding this case were just simply impossible. There has also been controversy in the MrBeast channel during all of this, in that they are deleting negative comments that are talking about the situation. A YouTuber that has been covering MrBeast censorship and erasure of history is Upper Echelon here. He has been covering this whole controversy to a great technological degree, and a pure example of Echelon's good doing here is first showing that working with a source close to him named Hoboon, Echelon and the source were able to show us the data points of the comments in that new MrBeast nuclear bunker video, essentially showing us that purges took place in the comment section.
This right here is the 36-hour period of time where the comment section of that latest video was scraped repeatedly and archived. Green is the total number of comments posted. Red is the total number of comments allowed to remain on the video actively. Over that one single 36-hour period from August 4th to midway through August 5th, over 26,000 comments were deleted at a consistent rate, as well as in 2 very large major batches. Here's a complete list of the comments, by the way, where you can see things like this, showcasing that all at once, for various keywords and phrases, dozens or even hundreds of comments will disappear in close proximity to each other. For example, comments simply containing the word script were suddenly mass deleted. Comments containing the word fake were mass deleted as well.
Upper Echelon then also shows us with some strong evidence that another whole purging took place in the tipping pizza delivery guy's $10,000 video of when the Shadman poster was being mentioned.
But if you scroll down, there's a jump in the most recent comments from 10 days ago to 1 month ago. All comments from the entire month of July were purged from this video. They were purged because they said things like this, quote, "Damn, the Shadman poster is actually there," end quote, linking to 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
And the cover-up / deletion of history wasn't solely dedicated to the comment sections in all of these videos. Upper Echelon then also shows us several instances of MrBeast and his company going back through numerous videos and cutting out anything that could be seen as bad now, or things that didn't age well, whether it was actual serious stuff or even just things that a person could meme or have fun with.
Donating $10,000 to random Twitch streamers, 14 minutes and 41 seconds. However, an archived version is 16 minutes and 11 seconds, and the part that got removed is this. MrBeast sitting in a kitchen in front of a living room with the same poster on the wall in the background. Here's a complete list of the edits made to the MrBeast videos over the past couple of months for anyone curious to go look for themselves. Tipping Uber drivers $10,000. 11 minutes, 13 seconds, but an archived version is 12 minutes and 37 seconds. Once again, the section missing is a sponsorship from Quid, filmed in the very same kitchen. I spent 24 hours straight in prison challenge. They removed a roughly 30-second section where Jimmy says to the camera, probably shouldn't break the law because being in jail sucks. And then a section where Jimmy describes how he would hate to go to jail for a few years. Also some parts about Chris's butt and how Jimmy expects to see it all over Twitter as a meme. And then a part where he asks Chris Tyson, if you were to ever go to jail, what would it be for?
Yeah, pretty damning stuff. Shout out to Upper Echelon and his source Hoboon for gathering up that data and information. But now moving on to the final bit of the aftermath of Dogpack's first video on MrBeast, we had to make this post on X here where he said that originally he was going to expose MrBeast's philanthropy efforts being more for aiding private interests and boosting MrBeast's image than actually doing anything good, but that during the investigation, Dogpack had come across something far more interesting that no one else had ever found, and that would be much more damaging than what video 1 had done. Dogpack then goes on to make this thread delegitimizing some of MrBeast's philanthropic ventures, and then it was just now a matter of time to wait and see what the part 2 video had in store. And as a countdown post teased for the video to be released on the night of August 7th, before that time would arrive, on that same day of, this internal email from MrBeast and company would be leaked to the internet and Drama Alert would confirm its legitimacy. What this email composed of was basically a whole announcement piece in which Jimmy stated that they were going to improve the workplace culture over at the MrBeast company by taking numerous steps like hiring a new chief HR officer, having mandatory training, listening sessions, anonymous reporting, and having an external review on their policies and practices. You know, just a bunch of good and necessary things. But what many thought of after seeing this supposed leak was that people were believing that this leak was fully leaked on purpose by the team to try and paint a better picture for the company. Dogpack saw this and immediately called BS on the Beast team by saying in quotations, leak, and then adding, I'm glad he's taking some steps to combat the sexual misconduct I've been receiving so many DMs about, but the timing of this seems like damage control and they haven't reached out to me at all about the many allegations I've received regarding people who are still employed at the company. Maybe those allegations allegations should be investigated. And then he shows at the end where he had asked Chucky about the situation, and surprise, surprise, Chucky had absolutely nothing to say to him as a response. So that drama alert confirmation and Dogpack response happens just a mere hour before the second video from Dogpack gets released, and before one knew it, it was then now showtime for video number 2. On that night of August 7th, Dawson will premiere his second video about MrBeast on his Dogpack 404 channel, this time having it be titled, "I worked for MrBeast, he's a sociopath." So this video, which was being premiered in front of over 100,000 live viewers, began with a content cop-esque style intro with another former MrBeast employee named Jake Weddle. Before we got into what Jake had to say, Dawson revealed to us that he had gotten hundreds of messages from former MrBeast employees praising Dawson's work for his first video, where he had spoke out against Jimmy, his content, and they had even mentioned the workplace environment over there. Dawson mentioned a couple more things during this, which we'll wrap around back to it at the end of this section of the video, but before getting onto any more things, Dawson told us about Jake Weddle and his story, in that he worked both on camera and off camera for MrBeast back in 2019 and 2020, but then also returned to shoot the now, never before seen, unreleased video where he was essentially going to be in solitary confinement for the goal of 30 days back in the year 2021, and it went horribly for him. Along with that, Dawson also teases that an EDP/PDF file that had worked at the company would be brought up as well. So, Dogpack's video from here jumps into the interview with Jake Weddle, a former employee of MrBeast, who had been there since the relative start of when the channel started shifting gears into what now it will go on to be.
I was there when they were authentic, and then I saw the transition to what I feel like is a company. He's like a TV show now. It went from YouTuber guy with a camera to Amazon.
So one of the first things that Jake jumps into is how MrBeast didn't necessarily want the people in his crew to go off and make their own name, in fear that they leave and say bad stuff about him, and Jake the Viking, during the premiere of this Dogpack video, confirmed that to have actually happened with this post right here telling us his own experience. But with that, Weddle also contributes to the MrBeast fakes his content argument and narrative, and that he tells us in that one of the videos that he was in, he had to tell his mom to act surprised during the time of filming.
This is the extent of the fakeness that I was involved to. This is admitting to my complicity. I was a writer there, and we were working on a video, crushing my friend's car with a rock or meteor. He wanted to do a prank where, unbeknownst to the person, he takes a rock, crushes their car.
Both of them have no idea that we're doing this. Weddle and Marcus are probably shocked. They had no idea.
So I had to text my mom, who had to beg to get the title very quickly. I text my mom, I go, "Mom, I'm about to call you about the meteor thing. You have no idea? Be surprised."
Mom, my car has been destroyed.
Wait, what?
A meteor hit it.
Jacob, I'm on vacation. Do you understand?
Jake then tells us the despairing account that he had experienced when working over at MrBeast, in which it ended up with him and an innocent worker getting fired over just concerns about pay being brought up.
There's another writer there, older comic, black guy, he had a kid, and I got paid more than him, and I thought that was wild because he was older than me, had a child, we're doing the exact same job. Yeah, I was talking to this other writer, like, up, you know, that's how the pay is, and I want you to get paid more, you know, because you deserve to get paid more. And he didn't want to rock the boat. He desperately didn't want to rock the boat. He's just, I like my job. But he said, "Hey man, if that's how you feel, you know, like if that's like, I trust you." He stood with me. He went to that meeting with me, and I said my piece, and he backed me up. And I said, "I need XYZ or I'm out of here." And they said, "Bet," and they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day. If I knew he was going to lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it. And I really regret that. But, you know, me and him are really still tight. We're still good friends.
Is he doing good?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's a good guy. I love that guy. He's doing good.
Jake then also speaks on the potential reasoning behind MrBeast getting into his philanthropic efforts over the years.
And I think it was the smartest decision for him that he calculated. If I donate to charity, people can't say I'm shitty. If I give this homeless guy 10K, what do you mean I'm a bad guy? I've always thought, if you're gonna do something nice for somebody and you stick a camera in their face while you do it, you didn't do a nice thing for somebody, you gained something. There was a homeless guy on the street and you saw an opportunity for yourself and your image. You gave one guy $10,000 who needed it to eat, and now the revenue you generated from that video is way more than what you gave.
And then, this is where we then go into his experience of that solitary confinement-esque video, where he would be put in a room like the one where you are seeing on screen right now. This on-screen video that made it into the MrBeast channel was actually their second attempt at the concept, with Jake Weddle's non-publicized attempt being the first time they tried it. And with Weddle being the lab rat / first attempt of doing it, it just went horribly for him. And then the MrBeast MrBeast team managed to fix up the errors for this other guy right here that ended up going on the MrBeast channel. But with Jake Weddle, the concept of him was basically the same, in that he would be put in the room for 30 days, earning $10,000 for each day that had passed in there. And during the attempt in trying to get through, Jake would tell us about how stuff like the ice cream machine would make the experience much more unbearable, as it would be either loud or just have the room be smelling horrible. But the bigger concern that we would come to realize is that the lights would always be on, even against Jake's wishes, and it essentially kept him up awake for the vast majority of the time, possibly having had given him insomnia even to this day. And when Jake was in the middle of describing it all, the term war crime would even be brought up as to how he had experienced this whole thing.
They weren't turning the lights off. You know, I asked them, will you like have like nighttime hours? And they said no, because it would f up the time lapse shot. So the lights are on me all the time. I wasn't sleeping. I could not sleep. And I have insomnia problems now. They might have started there. I had a lot of good people looking out for me saying, this we gotta stop. And I'm vocalizing to people, I wish the lights would turn off. And I go up to my friend, my good friend, and I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists. Oh, good. 24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
Jake would then describe about having been subjected into having to attempt to do a whole marathon on a treadmill during the course of the challenge, which we later went on to find out too, that it was done so without shoes.
He goes, you're gonna run a marathon. You're gonna do it on that treadmill over there. People who run marathons train forever, and it's still hard. There was so much pressure to just do it, just do the thing. If I refuse, it's just, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, so much money up in flames. Because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing. Wanted to be a good sport, and I wanted to get the boost, and I wanted the cash, and so I started running at 12. I was able to take some breaks, and I'm running until 3 a.m. When I got off the treadmill, the blisters I had on my feet were like, you wouldn't believe, just all over, just these big red, I couldn't walk, my muscles were like the lactic acid. I got off the treadmill, and then the people that came in to like ice my feet, make sure I was good. And that's when I was like, I'm done, I'm done, I'm out.
You woke up that day, and they said you were gonna run a marathon, and you didn't have shoes, number one, and B, you don't run marathons. I remember you telling me that they had you do that, and my first thought was, sorry, but you just don't. Like, you can't make a person who doesn't typically work up to that do that. And then you started talking about how your feet were literally bloody. Said they were going to get you medical help, and they didn't really. They got, people that were off duty to come talk to you.
And bringing it back to Jimmy wanting to look like a good guy while subjecting Jake to all of this, Weddle tells us the instance of how dehumanizing he had felt when they tried to make him be thankful on camera as to what the money being earned there would do for him after all of this would be said and done.
This is the note I got from the director, from Jimmy, when I'm receiving some cash. He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that and pretend to make it genuine? I don't want to have student loans. I don't want to beat a cage.
After that attempt of a marathon run, Jake tells us that he called it quits there at around 10 to 11 days of doing the challenge. And later when MrBeast came in to see the end of it all, Jake tells us what Jimmy had done when coming up to him.
He says, as if rehearsed by his lawyers, yeah, your mental health's the most important thing. I just want to make sure you're okay. And the last thing we want you to do is, I can almost hear the word Sue come out of his mouth. The S, he just stopped right before it got out.
We then come back to Dawson speaking on the whole situation by showing some text that Jake Weddle had after the incident. And then Dawson, right after that, brought up this internal document from the MrBeast company where one of the sections that is written on it is titled, "No does not mean no." Of course, Jimmy's talking about just the business aspect and doing anything by any means necessary to get something done for a video, but just the implications of the title of that section is enough to be seen as strange, to say the least. Dawson then tells us about some info that he had found out where MrBeast had left behind trash and debris after filming a video, and it took them a long time until they went and cleaned it up.
MrBeast leaving trash behind and debris at film site in Ayden, North Carolina. So I actually know that this is from a MrBeast video called Protect the Yacht, Keep It, where at the end of that video he actually says,
And if you're wondering, yes, we did ensure the lake was completely cleaned up after this video.
Yep, looks like another lie considering that apparently a bunch of debris and trash did end up going to the bottom of the level of the water. But moving on from that, we then go back to the Jake Weddle interview where he drops a bombshell piece of information of something that he had heard about a former MrBeast manager being outed out as a registered sex offender, where the victim of that was reported to be in the age range of 1 through 11 years old.
Well, there was a known registered sex offender, convicted sex offender, on the registry and everything, who worked there. From what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that. He's working at a channel that has underage people on and around and is targeted to underage people. And they covered up the fact that not only did he work there, but he was like the manager when it all started. He'll be in videos. He'll be in thumbnails. He'll be around. And whenever he is, he's wearing a mask. Why would you wear a mask? Why would you conceal your face? It's like, what are you concealing? That you are a registered sex offender? And that your face could be looked up on a thing? But when I was there, they called him Delaware. Why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware.
Did Jimmy know about it?
The likelihood that he didn't know is astronomically low.
And with that ended up being one of the bigger headlines that came out after this video. But before we get into the aftermath of that real quick, Dogpack did mention what we could be expecting for part 3 of a series against MrBeast.
MrBeast's secret CEO has been practically like harassing my people on, hey, what's in part 2? So I will just tell you, James, what will be in part 3. It will be about serious allegations of sexual misconduct in the company and your direct involvement in covering up those crimes.
And as to why MrBeast was being silent in regards to Dogpack's videos here and everything alongside it, Dawson tells us what MrBeast had planned for that.
So I heard from a very credible source that MrBeast has been sitting on a response to part 1 because he was worried if he posted it, I would instantly respond with part 2. So, MrBeast, do with that information what you will.
So that second video by Dogpack comes out, and immediately on the timeline, everybody starts talking about the registered S offender that was mentioned in the video, and people start calling out MrBeast and having had employed the EDP into his company back then. As more and more people started finding out about this EDP situation, they started looking into as who it could be, and the YouTuber Internet Anarchist here pulled up some previously deleted expos from Ava Chris Tyson from a couple of months back of when she had been beefing with Jake the Viking on the timeline. These now deleted posts had her calling out Viking for having a brother-in-law that was a registered S offender, even showing a screenshot of the exact same charges that would later go on to be in Dogpack's video. With this, an old tweet from Viking from 2018 would verify the legitimacy of the Delaware personality and his familial relationship to him, and this set off everybody to come out and speak up against Jake the Viking, as Viking had recently been on this crusade in the prior month of calling out Ava Chris Tyson's interactions with a minor. Now, the question here was, did Jimmy actually really know about the truth behind this Delaware guy, and did he actually ever acknowledge him by the state name? Well, multiple clips were found out through old MrBeast videos where Jimmy did in fact, to the very least, address the guy by the name Delaware.
He's eating this cracker.
I'm hungry.
He's after my
hungry. Don't touch Delaware's cracker.
So we're gonna be a little late because Delaware broke his back trying to lift the TV.
You should probably take him to the hospital then. That sounds pretty serious. To destroying Delaware's house. Cheers.
Now, still on the same night of Dogpack's second video, this ad came out from Drama Alert that showed MrBeast's new toy line being announced, and with the Delaware situation, it was just such horrible timing. But on the next day that followed, Jake the Viking had kept quiet on the whole situation, but eventually dropped this response onto his X account, where he essentially defends his accused brother-in-law, saying that when Delaware was 21, a 16-year-old girl had accused him and others of SA when she was 11, and Delaware just decided to take a plea deal with that to presumably get it over with. And in regards to the Delaware nickname, the actual reasoning behind it was that it was simply because that's where he was from, and he had actually been back to the States several times. Viking goes on to confirm that Jimmy knew of Delaware's situation, as they initially had already had a talk about everything regarding that, and that as for what Viking believes to have truly have happened, he says that in the case of Delaware, he firmly believes that he did nothing wrong and looks forward to the day the charges get dropped. Keemstar gets wind of this whole thing, and both him and Viking get into this whole back and forth, and in one of their final interactions so far, Keemstar hints at some quote-unquote TikTok girls that Viking was apparently obsessed with, and that there were interviews on deck. Their beef and this speculation slash accusation is a whole other tangent, so we're just gonna leave it at that there. Jake Weddle, on the other hand, during the aftermath of Dogpack's second video on MrBeast, he went on to upload 3 videos talking about the current situation at hand. The first one here was on the same night as the MrBeast Is A Sociopath video, and in this one, he talks about different points, first starting with some statements on S trafficking. No accusations thrown out, but he did mention that for a bit in the video.
The top link right there is for a fundraiser to help prevent against trafficking, because that seems maybe not relevant on a random. I don't know why anybody would donate to that. If you know me, you know I love just throwing out casual legal disclaimers for no reason. Why would I throw out a casual disclaimer for no reason? Well, maybe it was because, full coincidence, I was hanging out with some lawyers who specialize in NDA law for no reason. For no reason. Because those types of laws could be really, really tricky, especially when, certain people don't want things to get out.
He then talks about how private investigators are now being perhaps used in play here against those speaking out against a certain entity.
I called my buddy. Let's say his name is Mark. He goes, hey man, just a heads up. I know a lot of the law enforcement in Greenville, because I used to live over there, and apparently a lot of them are working right now for one guy, company, entity, A lot of them are on the same dime, working overtime for one thing, whatever that may be.
Yeah, and while on the topic of private investigators, the YouTuber Rosanna Pansino, who has been calling out MrBeast for quite a while now and is covering the Beast Game situation, she came out and said that she had heard rumors from people working close with MrBeast that he is hiring private investigators to investigate those speaking up against him. Dogpack, who had previously had somebody tell him that there were potentially PIs on his tail too now, would react to Rosanna's post here by jokingly saying that he hopes that they aren't looking into his Club Penguin logs. But going back to Weddle's video, he goes on to talk about his opinions on everything, has a phone call with his mom, and then tells us at the end that he will never off himself just in case something does end up happening to him. On the next video, Weddle talks about 3 different topics, 1 being him addressing responses and giving out corrections, 2 talks about Jake the Viking, and 3 just some tea. For topic number 1, he goes on to address various comments about him. In topic 2, he clarifies his initial thoughts on what he had said about Delaware, and then for another point with Viking, Weddle tells us about the story of Viking just basically littering on the side of a mountain after shooting a MrBeast video. And for some of the next and final points, Weddle calls out MrBeast and sending cease and desist over to Dogpack, and then sends out a warning to the company and Jimmy.
But just to let you guys know, this is a warning shot, and I do not send 2. Don't tell no lies about me, Dogpack, and Rosanna, and I won't tell no truths about 6 or 7 of you guys over there.
And while this second video was supposed to be Weddle's last video on MrBeast and everything, he then uploaded another one where he reveals to us that MrBeast had seen the recent Dogpack video and reached out to Weddle himself to try and fix everything.
Jimmy reached out. He said, hey, I wanted to reach out and say I didn't mean to cause you mental stress with that video, and I apologize. Clearly it had an effect on you. You mentioned you'd like to be paid out the rest of the prize money, the other $190,000, and I'd love to make things right with you. I have zero expectation of you mentioning me sending you this money publicly or taking down any videos. This is just me wanting to help you out and make sure you're good. I just need to know if you still have the same bank or not. We'll send you the money on Monday. Wish you the best.
Weddle then tells us that he had a phone call with Jimmy and that this is basically how it went.
It calls me and the conversation goes, hey, I'm really sorry about all that. That was f***ed up, and I should have put you through that. So I have a lot of money. Do you want some? Oh, how much money? How about the rest of the money from the thing? About $190,000. Would you like that? Would you like $190,000? Oh, counter offer. 50. You save $140,000. You just give me 50. That's gonna cover all my debts, and that'll get me back to 0. And I get to keep saying whatever the hell I want. I'm not gonna worry about you guys coming after me for being myself. Yeah, great. Bank info still the same?
So with Weddle burying the hatchet there a little bit with MrBeast, we then had another former worker of the company named Ty Orr come out with a video titled "I also worked for MrBeast, he's a thief," where Ty claimed that MrBeast basically took his ideas and never paid him for it when they had Ty over at the company for a little bit. It's this idea right here that you're seeing on screen of having Mario-like floating platforms be held up so that challengers are able to compete in them, with Ty showing us some of the evidence to back him up. He then ended the video with him shouting out his GoFundMe page referring to the situation with a goal of $1.7 million, which had a lot of people calling him out for being a money/clout chaser here. The MrBeast team actually ended up responding to this situation by sending Drama Alert some screenshots and saying that Ty definitely didn't come up with it, as the idea has been floating around for 3 years since Fall Guys came out. Ty Orr then drops another video where he basically doubles down on his accusations against MrBeast, regrets having had done the GoFundMe, and goes on to take it down, and then essentially continues to stand his ground on speaking against Jimmy and the company. Dogpack, after seeing Ty's initial video come out, spoke up against MrBeast again and saying that Jimmy regularly steals ideas and doesn't give compensation or credit, and that not all of the ideas for his videos come out of his head, no matter how much Jimmy claims that they do. Now, before going on any further in the timeline here, MrBeast's ex-girlfriend, Maddie Spadell, came out onto her Instagram stories and spoke up against a specific individual that had been close to her, with Maddie here telling YouTube that they need to reevaluate who they're putting on the trending page, and then talking about her 19 to 21-year-old self. It was clear who she was referring to here, Jimmy of course, one can presume. She references her negative experiences throughout the years with said creator, and then even goes on to say that she is now 3 years away from that weirdo on her ex account. And the MrBeast significant other drama didn't end there either, believe it or not. Jimmy's current girlfriend, Thea, with everyone and everything coming out against MrBeast, she had responded to a YouTube comment talking about the controversy at hand with Jimmy, and stating that half the things that are said are not true. I wouldn't be with them if they were. And that first half of the sentence right there will go on to become headlines, and it just painted MrBeast in a worse light, as Thea here was basically saying that half of what was being said said about him are false, and the other half could be considered true. With all this going on, we then go on to see reports, specifically this post by Rosanna here, that MrBeast had hired Matthew Hild6 Crisis Management Company. Matthew being someone who had began his PR career at Weinstein's Miramax, and someone who is a lawyer and publicist who represents politicians and Hollywood figures. Then bringing it back to that one supposedly leaked MrBeast company email, perhaps being their first strategic move in trying to have their image be rebuilt to the public. Moving on from that, we then saw John Miller come out with a post where, without getting too into that whole situation and just summarizing some of the main points of it, we saw that apparently it was seeming like MrBeast's team was having Ava stay silent throughout this whole thing, that her first apology was entirely written by the MrBeast exec under insane pressure by Amazon and other corporate investors, that tears from the top people at the company were involved, that proper third-party investigations against Ava were taking place, and that the corporate investors also do not want Ava to have any social media presence for a number of years. Add to this too that Jess, a former alleged partner slash victim and assistant of Ava's, also showed that MrBeast is actively trying to keep people from talking about how she was essayed by Ava Chris Tyson, with Jimmy trying to keep everybody silent over at the MrBeast company. One other YouTuber out there that hadn't necessarily spoken up against Beast was Ludwig, and after getting called out by many viewers, he went on to make this video titled Finally Talking About MrBeast, where in it, Ludwig says that in one of his own upcoming events, he had Feastables as a sponsor, but he decided to drop it to wait and see what Jimmy's response to Dogpack had to say, and that he would not be supporting MrBeast or his brands in any way, shape, or form until things have been properly addressed, to which Jimmy reiterated to him that he'll speak out on the situation after Dogpack's third video dropped. Dogpack, throughout the ongoing aftermath, also shared a video from the YouTuber Quinthio that looked over MrBeast's philanthropic efforts and that they weren't really helpful at all, stating that in summary, they made no statistically significant difference, distracted from real solutions, and just generally were only there to generate good PR for MrBeast. Oh, and speaking of Quinthio, he also had an interview with Dogpack where it was then revealed that the CEO of the MrBeast company, James Warren, had gone on to delete his Instagram, and after that interview with Quinthio came out, just about a week later, Dogpack went on to reveal to us that his own Instagram account had been banned, even though he had never posted on it and was only using it to communicate with victims of the MrBeast company. With all that going on, this other video was then uploaded by the YouTuber Honestly, in which Dogpack shared here as well, that showed strong evidence revealing that MrBeast and his Feastables company seemed like they had put on a facade of wanting to look like a quote-quote healthier and slave-free chocolate production company, but current and recent actions has shown that perhaps that wasn't their actual intentions at all from the beginning, as they don't go by that or any of those morals anymore, at least officially and publicly. Some more things that took place too was that Rosanna called out Beast Games for hiring Izadi, a publicly known individual to have had a criminalistic history in his past. MrBeast's live sub count on his view stats website that he publicly made available for us to see had been paused during the midst of the controversy. Is it a coincidence that it stopped at around this time, or did they not want to give out the possibility of the channel ever dropping its subscribers? I don't know, but the live sub count did end up coming back. More videos looking into MrBeast's business and family have come out, like this one here by the channel That Surprised Witness TV, that looked at the CEO of the company, James Warren, and all the connections that he has with Jimmy and family. And the same creator here also uploaded a documentary onto her more popular channel, BJ Investigates, that looked at the past of MrBeast and then hints at potentially revealing some more info in the next part as to how the company may truly be ran and who may be benefiting the most out of it. And as the MrBeast controversy continued to ramp up, another video then went on to the main MrBeast channel, where in that one, Jimmy and the crew went into a cave where they were stranded there for 7 days, and the video, content-wise, had a good amount of action and danger be shown throughout it, but with people and critics now having a smarter eye watching over MrBeast content, this new cave video went on to be criticized for being mostly fabricated again, at least the danger-wise part of it. Dogpack went on to call out how while in one of the scenes where Jimmy is struggling and supposedly being in real danger, there's a cameraman right next to him just chilling, recording the whole thing, and then along with that, this YouTuber named Snoop went on to show us several more instances of MrBeast faking his content in the newer videos, including the newly uploaded cave one. In it, Snoop shows that comments in that cave video were saying that the place that they were at was actually a tourist attraction in New Zealand, where virtually anybody, even handicapped people, can mostly do what MrBeast had done in the video, showing that there's really not as much danger as Jimmy had portrayed in his own upload.
The cave became darker, tighter, and ruthless enough that we began to question if we could even get to the finish line.
Now watch this video.
Before, this was a thrilling adventure that travels through the passages of the Waitomo Caves.
It involves swimming, jumping over cascading waterfalls, riding a tube, and marveling at the stunning limestone formations. The guides we had for this activity were very fun and entertaining, ensuring we had a safe and seamless journey through the caves. I promise this is not a scary environment to be in, it's a good energy and a lot of fun.
This is the same route where MrBeast and his team were fighting for their lives while exploring the caves.
One more thing that took place with this new video was that people were now wondering even more as to where Chandler is or has been throughout all of the newest MrBeast videos. As in the nuclear bunker one, he was only there for a few moments, and people started to point out that in it, he seemed disinterested, with this clip right here being paired up with this other one from one of the previous videos, where he also just seems sober being in the content. Maybe it could be that he's now become more of a religious man over the past couple of months and doesn't have any interest in partaking in MrBeast videos as much anymore, but this absence has been evident to be more of a concern amongst many fans. And one of the last things that happened in the aftermath of Dogpack's second video against MrBeast was that the YouTuber X8 did a whole reading on a document that Dogpack had initially released alongside his first video but is now removed from the public eye, and it was where Dogpack had made more accusations against MrBeast and had additional context to his first video. It talked about topics already covered like MrBeast faking his content and his alleged illegal lotteries, but also talked about the MrBeast crew trashing a film set, there being crypto associations, and even having had workers express their concerns that MrBeast could actually be a part of the biblical beast and Antichrist. Dogpack saw this video by X8 and then responded by posting this 4-minute segment that he had originally recorded for his first video that talked about these Antichrist accusations, but decided to eventually scrap from the original video as he personally didn't believe in it and felt that it would have taken away from the more evidential arguments that were presented in the initial video with the illegal lotteries and stuff. Anyways, here's some clips from that segment.
The only reason I'm talking about this theory that, MrBeast is the Antichrist or whatever is because it's so popular that multiple people, MrBeast works in the Bible Belt, and multiple people at MrBeast talked to me about this theory as if they legitimately believe there is a chance that MrBeast is the Antichrist. This second beast performed great miracles. It made fire come down out of heaven to earth in the sight of everyone, and it deceived all of the people living on earth by means of the miracles which it was allowed to perform in the presence of the first beast.
So I bought a church, and then we converted it by just basically taking all the pews out, just converted it into a studio.
MrBeast teaches children to worship money, which the Bible clearly describes as the root of all evil.
And from that, has Dogpack geared up to release part 3 of his series against MrBeast? An article from the Daily Mail came out and reported that MrBeast had hired a $2,000 an hour lawyer to go on ahead and send cease and desist to Dogpack to try and take down everything over he had called out MrBeast. Again, all of this just made Jimmy look bad, even if it was to try and save his reputation. As Dawson had said before, he was using public information and composed his videos and calling out MrBeast while just giving out his thoughts and opinions as to how the company was being ran. And as an outsider looking at everything going on, it doesn't really seem like that Dawson had done anything wrong in the legal sense. But either way, Dawson still went on and dropped his third video against MrBeast on the day of August 28th. This video, right off of basing it off of the previous titles and thumbnails, we were able to see that it was going to be a different vibe from the other ones. The video begins with Dawson talking to the viewers, saying that the upload was only going to cover one instance of SA, as even though he wanted to cover more stuff in it, the logistics weren't able to make it feasibly possible with lawyers and approvability coming into the mix. He also said that he's had traditional media hit him up, and then also documentary people to talk about MrBeast. And then Dawson ends up telling us that he still has the original project for his part 3 video in the works and ready for when the MrBeast response comes in. So, going on to the contents of this MrBeast Secret CEO video, he splits it into essentially 3 parts, where he looks over 3 high-ranking personalities that were/are in the company. James Warren, who is Jimmy's cousin and the actual CEO of the MrBeast company, Lokoya Hill, who was someone that had worked over at MrBeast, and then Jimmy Donaldson himself, the face behind the brand. So, with James Warren first, the secret CEO of MrBeast, Dawson goes over how he has had a shady past, with reportedly being very aggressive to people, even having been described as a psychopath. He was also reported being part of a Ponzi scheme, and have even been a part in, whether intentionally or not, screwing over an older woman in the range of 7 figures. Oh, and I also found this part of the video funny when Dawson shouted out "That surprise witness TV," and then it cuts to her talking about another MrBeast situation.
That surprise witness on YouTube, she's been super helpful and behind the scenes just submitting submitting freedom of information requests. She'll be posting a lot of updates on her channel, as she has been about the MrBeast situation.
MrBeast's video caused a military operation.
So from James Warren, we then go on to his alleged best friend, LaKoya Hill, who this guy used to run an adult entertainment events business, but then in 2019 went on to work for MrBeast as a producer, and that shift from adult entertainment into a growing, I guess you could say, kids channel like MrBeast was strange enough to say the least. But where things take a darker turn is that this LaKoya guy reportedly had multiple instances of essaying people, with one of them reportedly being against an 18-year-old assistant. And whether it was likely this instance or any of the other alleged ones, LaKoya's actions got him fired from the MrBeast company later on. But right after that firing, MrBeast reportedly moved him into the dubbing company, so securing LaKoya with a job in and around the same umbrella. And then MrBeast went on to later bring him back into the MrBeast company in 2023 as the COO. But then, this year in 2024, it seems that they have then let LaKoya go from the giant brand once again. Thinking about the timeline here, it appears that when Dogpack had made his initial video on MrBeast, it was then decided there that LaKoya was going to be let go, as then that supposedly leaked email comes back into play. Oh, and I'm guessing that it's not supposedly leaked anymore, as Dogpack said that he had very credible people telling him that it in fact was not leaked, and that it was likely just for a good PR move. But when that email had come out to the public, he had mentioned that there was going to be a new COO, giving the hint to Dogpack that LaKoya was let go from the MrBeast company. But Dawson did a little bit of digging and saw that LaKoya apparently now works as the president of Creator Global, a company that falls under the MrBeast umbrella. So whatever it is, MrBeast just seems like he wants to keep giving this LaKoya guy jobs under his umbrella of companies and associations. Oh, and just as a bonus, from what I understood, this Creator Global company was basically created off of LaKoya working at this Unilingo company that MrBeast has forcefully made them hire him after the initial firing. And then when LaKoya was in there was apparently a poaching of the Unilingo employees and also accusations of basically copying their whole business model, and that was what created this Creator Global company and had it then become a thing. All alleged, of course. So with the LaKoya section done there, Dogpack then talked about MrBeast a little bit, covering what his ex Maddie had said about him, while also taking some shots at Drama Alert and Keemstar for going at her when covering her situation. And then Dogpack dove in a bit more into the workplace culture over there at MrBeast, citing its toxicity in regards to how some of the treatment goes on for some women over there. Dogpack then also went a bit over the Jess and Abe Chris Tyson situation, where it's being said that Jimmy is proactively working on keeping the SA situation quiet at the company. And during this, Dogpack drops this little meme here with the Megan Hawk cop, who had a whole S scandal back then. If you know, you know. And going back to Dogpack, for those that know about his way of going about things, he likes to drop hints on some other info that he has about the MrBeast company. So take this, what you're seeing on the screen, as you will, with this photo of Megan being put on top of Chris as they're right next to Jimmy.
Look, man, just fire James Warren and LaKoya Hill. Fire them. Don't just move them around. Or I'm going to start dropping nukes.
And one of the last things that Dogpack covers is the new COO of the MrBeast company, Jeff Hausenbold, and how he himself has had a bit of a shady past when running companies, and also how he's a bit of a strange guy himself. Dogpack then ends the video in saying that he has more stuff on MrBeast/company, and that he's also saving stuff for when the inevitable response comes in from Jimmy. And to further certify that, Dogpack said in the description that he will post more after MrBeast responds to the existing allegations. So Dogpack drops that third video, and as his previous ones have had, this one also gets on to get attention too, of course, from the community. A shifting narrative started happening though with this one, but before we get into that, Dawson did go onto Oompaville's channel once again, where he told Oompa that he kind of sees a third CEO video as like video 2.5 in the series.
It wasn't really like a part 3. I like the title part 2.5, probably like unlist it when I post part 3, just so it has like that clean aesthetic.
Another thing that took place in Oompaville's video here, before the interview took place, is that Oompa says that he's heard some rumblings going around on documentaries actually being made about MrBeast at the moment.
I have heard from a lot of outside sources that there are a bunch of documentaries and shit being made right now, and there's investigations and things are going on at MrBeast HQ. That's pretty crazy.
And another weird instance that was mentioned in the interview between Dogpack and Oompaville is this exclusive piece of info that Dogpack had for us there.
There's a lot of nepotism. I'll give you an exclusive. Somebody texted me saying that the head of security is Jimmy's stepdad and he likes to pull knives on people as a joke.
That's crazy.
So that interview took place, but during this time, Dogpack started getting some criticism from the commentary community, and that a lot of the claims that he was making in his third CEO video were just that, claims, as in just being allegations and accusations.
Everything in this video is allegedly. I've heard him referred to as a psychopath who screams at people and hits his girlfriends. Allegedly is especially credible in my opinion. I heard he got in trouble. That's what I heard too. Apparently roofied multiple people as well.
One of the more notable claims that was being critiqued was of when Dogpack had said this about James Warren in his video.
There's allegedly domestic violence charges that were filed against him. And I say allegedly because it turns out there's a lot of people in North Carolina named James Warren who assault their girlfriends, I guess. So I'm still having people look into these cases.
Why didn't you find that out before you made the video?
And we'll come back to that in a bit, as first, Keemstar and Drummer then came into the mix, notably likely being upset from Dogpack's shots at them in the third video, and both Dogpack and Keem here go on to have a little back and forth on X, where Keem then goes on to speak on Dogpack's credibility with some of his more recent claims.
A lot of the allegations are just like, let's throw whatever we can to the wall and see what sticks. I'm just like watching and listening to my fellow commentators throughout YouTube, and it's like the tide is like shifting against you. So you're gonna be under the microscope now. More and more people are gonna turn on you. Eventually MrBeast is gonna make a clapback response, and then they're gonna pretty much come to the conclusion that 30% of the stuff that you've put forth is accurate, 70% is bullshit, and then you won't have any credibility moving forward, and it will be a stain on you and your career forever. Yep, that's how this plays out.
A few days after that interaction, Dogpack then put out a post onto his X account that was an update on the James Warren DV charges. That was essentially Dogpack saying that James, the MrBeast CEO's name was clear in that case of the accusation that he had thrown out against him, and Dawson said that he himself should have just waited for the results to come back to him before making the claims that he did in the evidently rushed third CEO video. Keemstar had a laugh, of course, but Dogpack is still on James's other cases and is still going to keep going after the MrBeast company as he goes on to correct his and other people's wrongs. Keemstar, though, on the September 3rd, 2024 edition of his Drama Show on Snapchat, he told us that MrBeast was actually going to make a response to all the stuff being said about him in the week that he had told Keemstar this.
And I will tell you, MrBeast, in fact, is going to respond to all the stuff being said about him, and we should have that this week. I just talked to him yesterday, confirmed. Also,
the whole week came and went, and we had no response from MrBeast on any of his social medias, and at the date of the upload of this current video that you are watching, there has still been no response from Jimmy and or the MrBeast company after Dogpack's third video had come out just a couple of weeks ago. Another live from MrBeast? Can't say that I'm surprised. And the last thing to have happened before this current video that you're watching goes up is that an ex-MrBeast editor named Trey went onto the Astro Show's channel and spoke out against the work culture in the MrBeast company, saying how they had him working basically every day doing multiple jobs while getting little amounts of sleep here and there, and thus having him miss out on big moments in his life, including holidays. Trey also talked about substances like Adderall being passed around to editors to keep them up throughout the nights to get projects done, and also even spoke on a situation that for the FBI video that MrBeast had done a couple of years back, the video that is up on the channel is actually their second attempt in making the video, as in the first attempt, Trey says that the original FBI agent had bumped into the vehicle that Chris, Chandler, and the crew were on, and had made him drive off the road and crashed the car. Trey also talked about Locoya and a couple of other things that Jimmy had done, which Trey comes to a conclusion here as to why Jimmy has probably not said anything yet about Dogpack's allegations.
One time during a Discord call during one of the gaming sessions, he mentioned that someone was acting very autistic, and I remember calling him out on that because I have autism. Whenever I called him out on that, he just like shut down and didn't say anything. So not only does he talk like a gamer, he's also a f***ing pussy. So that's the reason why he's not responding to anything.
And one of the last things that Trey talked about here is how his time at the company came to an end. This happened when he was working on the MrBeast gaming channel, and the channel got a sponsorship opportunity by Ubisoft to make a video on their game promoting Far Cry 6, and with Trey getting tasked to make a super viral video off of Far Cry 6, you can already see that this was a near impossible task, and when the video didn't perform to Jimmy's liking, Trey described this taking place.
Jimmy put me on a group call. He was furious about it. He was just like, why do we post this, blah, blah, blah. Every video needs the best video possible. Trey, this is all your fault. This is all your fault for posting a cringe video. We need to work more hours. We need to do this. We need to do that. I was like, Jimmy, I'm not working more than 45 hours anymore per week. I'm not working Saturdays and Sundays anymore. And he was like taken aback. And he was like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. The average work week for an American is 40 hours a week. How are you going to say that to me?
Imagine being surprised that you won a weekend.
I got a message from one of the other leads saying we need to talk on Monday. After that call, that lead called me and he was just like, sorry, we got to let you go. I was crushed too. I was just like, we can change things. Like, what can be done to change this? And he's just like, I'm sorry, that's just the way it has to be. And Jimmy even had the audacity to call me after that call and ask if I was okay.
And that's how he was let go from the company. Now, usually for this part of the video, I will give my conclusion on the topic that I am talking about, but seeing how this is continuing to be a developing story, there's not much more I can say in terms of making official statements, besides me just calling out MrBeast in the manner that I have been doing throughout this video. All things that I've covered here in this MrBeast and company story is public information, with most, if not all, the accusations being thrown around being alleged. I don't like how MrBeast has evidently lied to viewers about various of things, from creating his fake and scripted content, and making statements that are clearly just lies, and I also don't like how he has tried to keep all the recent negative accusations and stories around him quiet, with either not speaking on the topic, or just outright trying to censor those speaking out, from creators to even his commenters. MrBeast isn't a true YouTuber in my eyes, and he hasn't been for a while. Jimmy himself is just a host of a giant production company that isn't that much different from any other TV show out there. Nothing wrong with that per se, but he just isn't a creator anymore in my eyes. He's just a host and a producer that just so happens to have a ton of controversial and evidently illegal, or at the very least, immoral stuff going on both on and behind the scenes. Allegedly. Whatever, man. I just hope that more and more people open up their eyes to this, and also let the younger viewers, aka the next generation, know what they are consuming when watching MrBeast. There's much more I could say, but I think we just gotta wait and see if Jimmy even responds to Dogpack404's videos and claims. Shout out to anyone and everyone that has called out MrBeast. Big ups to Dogpack404, Rosanna Pensino, Upper Echelon, That Surprise Witness TV / VJ Investigates, Pegasus, and others including The Asher Show. And now that I bring up The Asher Show again, I'll just leave this clip from his video with Trey play out, as I think it could be a sign of what MrBeast's future could be.
You can see that his cave video doesn't have as much views as he would usually get in a week's time.
Let's go to his Social Blade knockoff viewstats.com and take a look at that. You can see that like he's about to break the lower part of like where his videos are supposed to be.
People realize that he hasn't said anything, and I feel like they're really getting fed up.
And seeing how his latest video of men versus women in the wilderness is also falling behind in performance of his latest videos, one can maybe think that people are starting to really get tired of this guy and his content. Oh, and last thing I'll say just as a little flex, yo boy was there early on during this whole Dogpack404 situation. Here's the stories that I share onto my Instagram stories, as I was there at the very beginning of MrBeast being exposed as a content fraud. And with that, that'll be the end of this video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you in another one.